studied about printf statement and some escape sequences. Today we are going to study about variables. So a variable is an identifier. A variable is an identifier or data name that may be used to store data item, that is numerical quantity or character constant. So while we studied identifier, we discussed like identifier is the name given to variable, array or function. So here we are going to study the concept called variable. So variable is just a data name where we can store data. So variable is a data name where we can store some data items. Data items means either it is an integer value, and either it is a numerical value or it is a character constant. A variable may take different values at different times during execution. So the value of the variable may vary during the execution of the program. A data item can be accessed later in the program by referring to the variable name. So if you want to refer some data items, we can refer it by using the variable name. So example for variables are average, height, total, counter underscore 1, class underscore strength. So these are the examples for variables. So if you remember the identifiers, there we studied some rules to form an identifier. Same rules are applicable to variables also, because identifier is a name given to variable also. So same rules are applicable in variables also. First one is it must begin with a letter. Uppercase and lowercase are significant. For example, total is not same as total or this one, all caps total. It should not be a keyword. White space is not allowed. So there also we studied identifier as a user defined one. So here variable name is also a user defined one. It must start with a letter. Uppercase and lowercase are significant. That is easily understandable with the help of this example. These three have different meaning in C program. It should not be a keyword. White space is not allowed. Space between the letters in a variable is not allowed. And we already studied there are 32 keywords in C language. Those keywords can't be used as variable. So variable is just a name given to a data item.
Sir, difference between variables and
Variables and difference between variables and
identifiers.
identifier is the name given to variables, functions and arrays. So we can say variable is an identifier. Variable is also an identifier, but identifier is a superset of variables, functions and arrays. Name given to variables, functions and arrays. It is a superset, but variables is a subset. All variables are identifiers, but all identifiers are not variables. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
It is almost same, both are same. Okay, next is data types. C supports several different types of data which may be represented differently within the computer memory. So C language supports different types of data. We also know there are different types of data. Character data, integer data, floating point data. Basic data types are character, integer, floating point, double precision floating point. So here I have the classification of data type. primitive or basic data type contain 4 types: char, int, float and double. For the time being, we are discussing only these 4 things. These remaining things: array, function, pointer, structure, union, enumeration, void, all these things will be discussed in the upcoming modules. So in this module, we are only dealing with character, int, float and double. So when we study all these things, our syllabus is almost full. So now you just concentrate on these 4 things: character, int, floating point and float and double. So in addition, C has 4 type qualifiers, also known as type modifiers, which precede the basic data type. So these are the basic data type: char, int, float and double. Along with that, we can add these things also: short, long, signed and unsigned. Okay, anyway, these things will be clear when we see the example. So C supports different data items, so data types, or different types of data that can be stored in memory. So some basic types are character. Character, we all know, a single character within double quotes, that we already studied. That is character constant. But here, the same thing, when we store in a variable, we can call it as a data type. Similarly, we have integer. Integer means it is a whole number. Floating point means it have a fractional part also. Double precision floating point means we can store some larger fractional numbers also. So also we have some qualifiers called short, long, signed and unsigned. Okay, here you just look at the chart. Char or unsigned char. So suppose I want to store a character data in the computer memory, we have to use char or signed char, and it will take 1 byte of memory. It will take 1 bytes of memory. It is specifically saying that this is the size and range of data types on a 16-bit machine. So generally the systems with us will be in 32 bits or 64 bits. So there the values of these bytes will vary. So anyway, we have to understand the concept with 16-bit machine. So signed char means we all know the data is stored in zeros and ones in memory, computer memory. So along with that, 1 bit is therefore they're allocated there to store the sign. Sign means either a positive value or a negative value. So unsigned character. So here unsigned means there will be no sign. So everything will be treated as positive. So it also takes 1 byte. Similarly, int or signed int takes 2 bytes. Unsigned int takes 2 bytes. So these are the various data types and its qualifiers supported in C. So first 2 is to store character data. Next things in yellow to store integer data. And these 3 rows, which is denoted in blue, is to store floating point data. Floating point data you already studied. Floating point data is also called as real data, where we have a whole number part and also a fractional part. We already studied about the structure of RAM. RAM is divided into some bytes. And how many bits will be there in 1 byte? Please respond. How many bits will be there in 1 byte?
8 bits.
8 bits, okay. So here suppose I want to store a character data. So how many bytes are required to store a character data? From the table it is clear that we need 1 byte. So somewhere in the RAM some 1 byte will be allocated. Just imagine this byte is allocated. Some 1 byte will be allocated. Suppose I am using some int. How many bytes will be allocated? 2 bytes will be allocated to store an integer. Suppose I want to store float. So 4 bytes will be allocated to store the floating point data. So for writing our C programs, you no need to study everything. Only some things are needed. Character is needed, char is needed. Int you have to study, float, and also double. So anyway, in our course, for when we writing the programs, sorry, this float is actually small letter F, not capital F. It's a typing mistake. It is small letter, actually this F is small letter. So you have to understand only character, char, int, float and double. Char means if you want to read some character value or to print character value, you have to use the character variable. If you want to manipulate some integer values, you have to use an integer variable. If you have some fractional part or some real numbers, then you have to use either float or double. So here it is saying character takes 1 byte. 1 byte means 8 bits. So here range means this minus 128 is the minimum value that can be stored in a char data type, and positive 127 is the maximum value that can be stored in character data type. So no need to remember these things. So if we know the number of bytes needed for each and every data type, you can easily write this range. So if it is a signed one, the values will vary from minus 2 raised to n minus 1 to 2 raised to n minus 1 minus 1, where n is the number of bits. So for example, I am taking char or signed char. So for signed numbers, we have to take this formula. How many bits are here? 8 bits are here. So I am taking 2 raised to here n minus 1. N minus 1 means 7. 2 raised to 7 is 128. So that minus 128 is the minimum value. To get the larger value, you have to just subtract 1, minus 1. So this is the way you have to find the range. So if you are using some char data type to store data, the minimum value will there in the memory will be minus 128 and the maximum will be 127. So if you remember that character constant, I already told you, anything within the single quotes is a character constant, and each and every value will have some equivalent ASCII value. Actually that ASCII value will be stored in that data type. So if something is set as unsigned, then you have to go for this formula, 0 to 2 raised to n minus 1, because there will be no negative numbers. So the first value always will be 0 and this one will be 2 raised to n minus 1. So if you apply on this one for 8 bits, 2 raised to 8 is 256. 256 minus 1 is 255. Similarly, you can try these things also. You don't need to study these things. It's a very large value. You are not supposed to study these things. So these are the various data types which are supported in C. So you may ask from this table itself, it is clear. If we use int, it will take only 2 bytes. So 2 bytes will have some maximum limit 32767. Suppose I want to store a larger value. For that you can use long int. The size will be increased. Here 32-bit is allocated to store the int. Long int and integer both are same, both are used to store integer data, but this one supports much larger value. Here the highest range is, or maximum value is, a very large one. Any doubt in this one? Any doubt in data types? Please respond. If it is clear, you just type clear in the chat box. Next is a declaration of a variable. So we already studied two things, variables and data types. So how we can use these things in a C program? So after studying these things, it will be more clear about variables and data types. So variables must be declared before they are used in the program. It tells the compiler what the variable name is. It specifies what type of data the variable hold. The general form is data type. So this data type can be any value from anything from this first column. Anything from this first column can be the data type in general form. Variable name 1, variable name 2, up to variable name n. These are all user defined names. We already studied about the rules to write variables. So based on that rules, we will write some variable names. Just wait for 1 minute. So listen carefully. So here I have an example called index. Suppose I am writing a program. Write a program to add two numbers. To add two numbers means add any two numbers. So now I want to add 5 and 3. So after some 5 minutes I want to add 6 and 7. So any two numbers can be added with the help of this program. So there I have two inputs. So numbers means from this table we will take, I already told you, when we write programs we are only considering char, int, float and double. So it is a number means I know it is a integer data. So I have to add two integer data. To store this integer data in memory, I have to make some declaration. So first thing is I am going to give two names for two numbers. So imagine first one is A, second one is B. So what I will do is I will write int A comma B some semicolon. So when this program is executed, when this statement is executed, what happens is in memory some space for A is allocated. Based on the table, it is 2 bytes. Similarly, some space will be allocated for B. It is also 2 bytes. So this is declaration of variable. First one is data type. We already studied about data type, followed by some variable name. So it has some meaning. From this statement, it is clear that A is an integer data type. B is also an integer data type. That means A can hold an integer value, B can hold an integer value, and also some space is allocated to store A and B. So these are the things what we can understand from this statement. So what will be the meaning of this statement? Char CH, Adarsh Kumar.
Yes, sir.
So what will be the meaning of this statement? Char CH.
That the CH is a character.
Okay, CH is a character. So CH can hold some character value. Some space will be allocated in memory. So based on our table, it is 1 byte. And in that space, we can store some character data. Adidev.
Yes, sir.
So what's the meaning of this statement? Float x comma y.
Float comma y.
What will be float? Which type of data can be stored in float?
Float.
Okay, you just listen. So float means we can store fractional type of data. Here, this one means we have two variables, x and y. X can hold a floating point data and also y can hold a floating point data. Floating point data means some real data. Real data means something like 1.23. You already studied there will be a whole number followed by a floating point followed by some fractional part. Similarly here 5.17. So these type of data can be stored. So I hope you understood why we studied variables and also data types. So here x is a name given to floating point data. Here A is a name given to integer data. B is also a name given to integer data. So this is how we declare variables. Okay. We'll see some programs. So here I am going to write a program to add 5 and 3. I'm going to write a program to add 5 and 3. Agnel Jose.
Yes, sir.
So what I have to write? I'm going to write a program. So what will be the first statement?
Sir, program to add 5 and 3.
Okay, is it mandatory?
No, sir.
No. So I think for now you can avoid those non-mandatory things. So what is the first mandatory thing that has to be included?
Sir, main function.
Okay, main function. So I'm writing main function. Okay. So here I'm going to add 5 and 3. So somewhere I have to store 5 and 3 in the memory. So before storing 5 and 3, we have to allocate some space. To allocate that space, we have to declare some variables. So I have to declare a variable to store 5, and also I have to declare a variable to store 3. So I'm declaring two variables, int a comma b. So always when we write the programs, so it may contain 5 lines, it may contain 10 lines, it may contain some 25 lines or some 100 lines. So always think about, when we saw the first line, you have to think what happens during the execution. Similarly, when you saw the line number second statement, you have to think like what will happen during execution. So now the two space will be allocated for A and B. So I'm storing 5 in A. So just A equal to 5. These things we study later about these equal to things. For now you just imagine some value will be stored in the variable B equal to 3. Alex?
Yes, sir.
So what will happen during this execution of line number 3?
A space will be allocated for A.
Very good. Space will be allocated to store A. Space will be allocated to store B. Space means based on the table. So it will vary based on, if it is a 16-bit computer, 2 bytes will be allocated. And also one more thing, when we studied RAM, I already told you, each and every bytes will have some address. Each and every bytes will have some address. So here when I have a RAM, suppose I have some bytes. So here if I am declaring A means if this space is allocated, this byte have some address, let it be 1001, and this byte also have some address, let it be 1002. So these 2 bytes are allocated for A. You just imagine like that. These 2 bytes are allocated for A. And this A can also be referred with the help of this address also. So you just keep these things in mind, because when we study pointers, it will be very useful. So always remember, in RAM the things are divided into bytes, and each and every bytes will have some address. So when we declare this integer variable, 2 bytes will be allocated, and some address value also refers to this A. So here, since we have 2 bytes, we may confuse whether to use 1001 or 1002. So in some computer architecture, 1001 refers A. Some other computer architecture, they are using 1002. So those things we discuss later. So always remember, there is an address associated with bytes also. So during this statement, A and B will be, some space will be allocated for A and B, where we can store some integers. So here, this is line number 4. What happens during line number 4 is, this 5 will be stored in this allocated memory. Similarly, what will happen when we execute line number 5? 4 will come and it will be stored in this memory location. Okay, next is, we will add, sorry, here it is, I am changing here, I am adding this. It is actually 3. 3 will be stored here. Okay. So when we add 5 and 3, we will get 8, and we have to store this 8 in memory also. So to store 8, we need another variable. So you have to add one more variable. Here I am adding C. And what will be C? C equal to A plus B. So what will happen? So during the execution of line number 3, one more variable will be declared which can hold integer value, that is C. During line number 6, during the execution of line number 6, it will get a value 8. So that 8 will be stored in C. So this is the way you have to study the program. What happens in each and every line. So here I have taken this example to understand how to declare variable, how to use the variable, and how to, here also you studied how to add two numbers. So sometime you may think why we need A, B and C. No need for those things. You can simply write A, C equal to some 5 plus 3 and write the result. Because here we are writing the program to execute the addition of 5 and 3. So for that one we didn't need A and B actually. But this program is written only for the understanding purpose. So now the value of 5 plus 3 is in C. So it is only in memory. User can't see that memory directly. So you have to display the value. Display the value at C. Anjana,
Yes, sir.
how we are printing something to monitor?
Printf statement
Okay.
has to be used.
Printf statement has to be used. Very good. So listen carefully. We are going to study printf in detail here. So anyway, I have to use printf. Earlier we studied how to print good morning, how to print goodbye, how to print good morning and goodbye in two different lines with some space, with some tab space, etc. Here we have to print the value of C. Print the value of C. So first I will write the statement, then I will explain. So I have written here printf within double quotes %d, comma C. So earlier we studied something like print good morning. So there the good morning is written within double quotes. So the things which is going to be printed is something we are writing within those double quotes. Here I have written it as %d. So you may think that %d will be printed in the monitor. It is not like that. And I have written comma C. So in place of this %d, in place of this %d, the value of C will be printed. The value of C will be printed. So what is the value of C? 8. That 8 will be printed. So I will execute the program. So here there's an error because I didn't put the semicolon here. Now it is okay. So if you notice the output, here you can see 8. Is the output screen visible? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
So the 8 is printed. Okay. Any doubt on this printf statement? Any doubt on this printf statement?
No, sir.
So anyway, we will see more examples. It will be clear at that time. So here if you look at the output screen, only thing is 8. Suppose I want to print something like sum equal to 8. Suppose in the output screen I want to print something like sum equal to 8. So for understanding purpose, I'm writing in the new line printf. What you have to do is you have to write it like this within double quotes, sum equal to percentage d comma c. So here what will happen? The thing which is within double quotes will be printed. Always remember that in printf statement, if something is written within double quotes, that will be printed. Here it is written like sum equal to percentage d comma c. So in place of percentage d, what will be printed? The value of c will be printed. Remaining will be printed as it is. So I will show you the output. Here 8, sum equal to 8. So here it came in a single line. So for understanding purpose, I am adding a /n here. So now you got sum equal to 8. Because it will give you clarity. So 8 is sum of some values. Okay. One more thing. Suppose I want to print the output like this. 5 plus 3 equal to 8. Ankur Jaiswal. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So suppose I want to print the output in this format, 5 plus 3 equal to 8. How will I print? How will I use the printf statement? Printf Ankur Jaiswal. I'm asking
Yes,
you
sir.
how to write the printf statement.
Print
Okay, printf. Okay, I have written printf. Then bracket is also included. Then inside that,
5 plus 3.
okay, that way also you can print. So just listen. I'm writing something like percentage d plus percentage d equal to percentage d. So here we have 3 percentage d's. Here I have 3 percentage d's. So after comma I have to write 3 variables, a, comma b, comma c. So listen carefully and understand it properly. So here what happens is anything within double quotes will be printed. Anything within double quotes will be printed. So what will be printed in place of percentage d? In place of this percentage d, the value of a will come, because that is first percentage d. In place of the second percentage d, b will come. In place of the third percentage d, c will come. So remaining things in the double quotes will be printed as it is. So in place of a, 5 will be printed. Then I have a plus here, it is printed as it is. Again I have a percentage d. In place of that percentage d, b will be printed. The value of b is 3. Then equal to is there, so equal to will be printed as it is. Then again I have a percentage d. In place of that percentage d, that c will be printed, c equal to 8. So let me run the program. So here sum equal to 8, 5 plus 3 equal to 8. Here also I am putting a new line, /n. Now it is clear. Sum equal to 5 plus 3 equal to 8. So I hope you understood how to use printf statement. How to use printf statement. Any doubt? So Shasikant asked a doubt. Why percentage D should be written in the statement? That thing we discuss later. So here we are printing A, B and C. So A, B and C are of integer data type. A, B, C are all integer data type. If I want to print an integer data type, I have to use percentage %d. For integer data type, we have to use percentage %d. For character, we have to use percentage %c. For floating point, you have to use percentage %f. So those things we discuss later. Next we are going to discuss that one. Any doubt in this printf statement? Please respond. If you are clear with it, you just type clear. Please ask.
If we already allocate as in integer type, that is A, B, C and D, then what we write in the printf option? Percentage.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
You are saying about that D.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If we already allocate a space, that is B, sir.
So that D and this D is different.
Percent D and D is different.
Percentage D and D is different. 1 minute.
Can we
Suppose I am using, instead of C, I am using D.
Yes, sir.
So I am just writing D equal to A plus B. So here you just write D. That is percentage D. This is D. This is a data type. This is a different one. This is called format specifier. So I am replacing everything with C, every C with D. So never mix that percentage D and D. So here also I got the expected output. Is it clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So I only got one response. That means only one is understood. Remaining didn't understand anything. After every topic, if it is clear, you just type clear. Otherwise, you just say your doubt. It is not clear, or I have doubt in this topic. I think more clarity is required in these things. You just comment it like that. No problem. Okay. Formatted input and a function that I will explain with the help of the program. I think that will be more useful. Okay. These are the format specifiers. Now you will be more clear. So if it is a character data type, you have to use percentage %d. If it is an integer or signed integer, you have to use percentage %d. If it is a float value, you have to use percentage %f. Similarly, all the combinations of data types are written here. So the things which has to be just written in yellow, you have to remember. Remaining things are only for understanding purpose. For writing program in our course, we need only percentage %c, percentage %d, percentage %f and percentage %s. Percentage %p also is used later. So this percentage %p and percentage %s will be clear when you study pointers and strings. So now you just think about these three things: percentage %c, percentage %d and percentage %f. So percentage %c is for character, percentage %d is for integer, percentage %f is for float value. So we will discuss some of the format specifiers. Before that, I will go back to the program. So I hope you got some idea about printf, almost clear. So here I have added 5 and 3. So suppose I want to add any two numbers. Here I am not giving any input. 5 and 3 is written in the program itself. So instead of that, I had to give the input. So now I have to add 5 and 3. Later I have to add 6 and 7. After some time I have to add 25 and 250. Same program can be used. But there we have to read the input from the user. Read the input from the user. Add any two integers. So you must have a notebook to note all these things. So here also I am starting from main. Anu Fasmin.
Yes, sir.
So here I am going to add any two numbers. How many variables are required?
I need to three.
Three variables are required. What is the type of those variables?
What is that? Sir, I didn't get the question.
So what is the type of that variable? Whether it is an integer data type, whether it's a floating data type, whether it's a character data type.
Integer data type.
Okay, the type of data I'm going to add is integer. So I have to declare those things. So I have to write int. I'm using a different variable here, x, comma, y, comma, sum. So this x, y and sum are all user defined names. So those things are written based on the rules to form the variable or rules to form the identifier. Okay. So here I am writing a printf statement. Printf enter two numbers. Ashwini TR. Ashwini, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So, during the execution of line number 3, what will happen?
Two numbers.
Your voice is breaking during execution of line number 3. This one, what will happen?
They will be allowed.
Okay, you can mute the mic, it is not clear. Debug.
Yes, sir.
So during the execution of line number 3, what will happen?
We'll allocate some space for x, y, and sum.
Okay, very good. Some space will be allocated for x, some space will be allocated for y, and some space will be allocated for sum. X, y, sum. Fida Sahuda.
Yes, sir.
So line number 3 is executed. What will happen when we execute line number 4?
It print x and y.
It print.
Two numbers.
So what is wait, what is written in line number 4?
Print f and two numbers.
So what will be printed in screen?
Some will be printed.
How? Suppose I write printf good morning, what will be printed?
Print of good morning.
Good morning will be printed. Similarly, here I have written enter two numbers. What will be printed?
Two numbers x and y.
So what is printf statement? So printf statement means anything within that double quotes will be printed. So here I have written
Yes.
enter two numbers, so that enter two numbers will be displayed in the monitor.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have any doubt, you just look here. The only thing is enter two numbers. That is displayed in the monitor. Okay. Okay, next thing you have to listen very carefully. So we are going to write a very new one. So printf to display data to monitor. Similarly, to get data from the user, we have another function that is called scanf. So printf it to display something to monitor, and scan or to output something, and scanf is to take some inputs. Scanf is to take some input. Filsa Karim.
Yes, sir.
In this program, what we have to read? What will be the input to this program?
Numbers, sir.
How many numbers?
3.
3 or 2?
Some number variable.
Some number is not entered by us. It is calculated by the computer itself. So I'm asking how many
Okay,
how many
two.
inputs will be given?
2.
2. Okay. So here I am adding two numbers. So I have to give two numbers as input. So what is the type of that number? The type of that number is integer. So here also you have to put double quotes. You have to write 2%Ds. Listen very carefully. Within double quotes, you have to write 2%D. Why I write 2%D? Because the input given is, or because I have to read two integers. Why I given %D? Because the type which I am going to read is integer. For integer, I have to use %D. So once again, I am saying I have used 2%Ds. 2. Because the input is two numbers, I have used %D because both those are integers. So then you have to put a comma, then you have to put the ampersand sign, where we have to store the first data. The first data has to be stored in X. The second data has to be stored in Y. So sum is only stored by computer. This one is from the user. The value of X and Y are from the user. That sum will be calculated, that will be stored to sum by the computer. So here, first thing is ampersand X, comma, ampersand Y. So this and symbol is also known as ampersand. I think in somewhere we have discussed. So anyway, we will study. Now we don't ask about the meaning of this ampersand and those things. Those things we study in third module. At that time it will be clear. For the time being, you just study like if you want to read two integers, you have to use a scanf. Within that, you have to write 2%Ds within double quotes, followed by the variable names. The meaning is first value will be stored in X, second value will be stored in Y. So after executing this statement, anyway user will enter some value. The first value entered will be stored in X and second value entered will be stored in Y. So now X and Y will have some value. So next you just write sum equal to X plus Y. Gogul Krishnan.
Yes, sir.
So here I want to display the output like something like sum equal to 8. So how will I use the printf statement?
So printf double exclamation.
Not double exclamation, double quotes. Okay.
Double quote.
A bracket, double quotes. What is it? What?
Sum is equal to 8. The sum
Sum equal to
8.
If I write sum equal to 8, whenever I execute the program, it will print sum equal to 8. So after some time, I may give 5 and 15 as input. At that time, the actual output is at 20, but at that time also it will be printed like 8. So how will I print? So I have to print the value at this location. So how will I print? Sum equal to
Sum.
നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ പഠിച്ചതല്ലേ?
Sum is equal to x plus y sum ന്റെ value.
So how to print? Sum is already in the variable sum. Okay, Gogul, you just listen carefully. John Ralphie.
Yes, sir.
So how will I print?
Print f in bracket sum without that double quote.
So here also I have written. Here sum is in D. There I printed like printf sum equal to percentage D comma D. Similarly, how will I write?
Sum equal to
Whether you understood this program?
yes, sir.
Then why can't you say
Percentage D comma
okay,
sum
okay, very good. Percentage D comma sum.
comma
Okay.
sum.
Okay. So earlier I used the variable D. So value at D is printed here. Here I have used a different variable called sum. So that value at sum has to be printed in place of this percentage D. Please understand it properly. If you have any doubt, please ask. So printf always print something between double quotes. Here something between double quotes means sum equal to percentage D. Since there is a percentage D, some integer value will be printed in place of percentage D. Some integer value will be printed in place of percentage D. So which integer value? It is specified after this comma. So the value at sum will be printed. Okay. So after the first statement, after line number 3, these things will be happen. Printf enter 2 numbers. So in the output screen, those things will be printed. Enter 2 numbers, that will be printed in output screen. So when seeing this thing, what will do? User will generally enter 2 numbers. User will type 5, then press the enter key, then type 3. So this scanf statement, so okay, during the execution of this line number 4, that message will be printed. Here scanf is reading 2 integer values. So this program is expecting 2 integer values, or that scanf statement is expecting 2 integer values. So once I entered 5, then I will press the enter key. Again I will type 3. Again I will press the enter key. So the program got all the expected integers, because program is expecting for 2 integer values. Those things are entered by the user. So during the execution of this scanf statement, what happens is, I have entered 5 and 3. 5 will be stored in X and 3 will be stored in Y. So I hope you understood the execution of first 3 statements. Next, sum equal to X plus Y. Everyone knows about this statement. The data at X and Y will be added, that is 8, and that will be stored in sum. So this will happen during line number 4. Then line number 7, it is a printf statement. So something will be printed to output. So printf sum equal to percentage D. In place of percentage D, the value at sum will be printed. The value at sum is 8, so 8 will be printed. So I'll execute the program. So now it is saying enter two numbers, and the program is waiting for those two numbers. So the program will execute only if user enter two values. So I am type 3, then I am press the enter key, then I am typing 5. Again I am pressing the enter key. At that time I got the output as sum equal to 8. Sum equal to 8. So is it clear? Please respond. This program has only 5 lines. So you just go through those 5 lines and you just think about yourself whether I can understand these things, whether I can understand the meaning of these 5 lines. Okay. So what we have done here is enter two numbers. I typed 3, then I pressed the enter key, then I typed 5, then again I pressed enter key. At that time only I got the output as 8. So I am executing it again. So you can execute in some other way also. First I will press 5, then instead of enter I am giving space, then I am pressing 3, I am pressing 3, then you press enter. At that time also you will get the output as 8. So those things will be clear when you do the program. Okay. So next I am going to write a program to add any 3 numbers. Any 3 numbers. Mary Elena.
Yes, sir.
So here I have a program to add any 2 numbers. I have to make it as program to add any 3 numbers. So how will I modify?
Int xy z.
Okay. Okay, one more variable has to be added. You are saying z, so I am adding z. Okay, very good. Then
Enter 3 numbers.
enter 3 numbers.
Printf.
Okay.
Enter 3 numbers.
Printf enter 3 numbers. Okay, very good. Okay. Mayankaraj, Mary.
Yes, sir.
So what is the other modifications needed? So how many inputs will be here?
3 inputs.
3 inputs. So in scanf,
Yes, sir. X, Y, Z.
how many percentage Ds will be there?
1 more percentage. D.
Okay, 3% Ds will be there. Okay. Then what's the modification? What I have to add here?
Comma and Z.
Okay. Don't say and Z. Say it as ampersand Z. Okay.
Ampersand Z.
Very good. Okay. Munna Mission PK.
Yes, sir.
What's the modification in line number 6?
X plus Y plus Z.
Okay. Okay. Nuja MB.
Yes, sir.
What is the modification in line number 7? Okay, very good. No need of any modification. I'm executing the program. So now I got a message, enter 3 numbers, and the cursor is blinking. That means the program is expecting something to be typed. So I'm typing 10, 15, 20. So expected output would be 45. So I got sum equal to 45. Is the screen visible? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here I have added 3 integer numbers. I'm executing this program again. So enter three numbers. Suppose I am entering something like 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. What is the expected output? Anyone?
Sir, there will be no output.
I got a sum 2036642. Is it the correct output?
No, sir.
No, the actual expected output is 10.5, but I got something like 20,36,642. Okay. So to get the correct output, what are the modifications I have to make? Varsha, Shibu.
Sir.
Okay. So you saw the output screen. There I have given some fractional numbers. So to get the correct output, what are the modifications I have to make?
Percentage of.
Okay, instead of percentage D, I have to make percentage F. Okay, leave it. Before that, whether there's any need of modification in line number 3?
Yes.
What is the modification?
Float.
Okay, instead of int, you have to write float. Very good. Now the meaning is x, y, z and sum can hold floating point data. X, y, z, sum. X, y. These things can hold floating point data. Okay. Tanush J. Tanush, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So what is the modification line number 4?
No matter.
Okay, no need of any modification. What about line number 5?
അത് D മാറ്റണോ?
Okay, we have to change D. What do we have to add?
F.
Okay, F. Again, in this percentage D also I have to make it as F. Here also I have to make it as F. Okay, Shyam Santosh.
Yes, sir.
What is the modification line number 6?
No modification.
Okay, what about 7?
Sum is equal to percentage F.
Okay, very good. Percentage F. So now I am executing the program. Now I am giving 2.5 space 3.5 space 4.5. Now I got the output as 10.5. So I hope you understood the difference between float and int, and I hope you understood how to read floating point data and integer data. Any doubt? Please respond. If it is clear, you just type clear in the chat box. Okay. Next thing, I will try to understand you some of the format specifiers. This percentage C, percentage D thing is called format specifier. I'll try to understand some of the format specifiers with the help of example. Format underscore specifier dot C. Okay. So I will write a program and we will make some modification. You have to say the output. Shidin Raj,
Yes, sir.
what will be the expected output? So you just make a wild guess, that's it.
ഇത് ഇന്റിജറിന് പെർസെന്റേജ് ഓഫ്
Okay, integer you had to use percentage %d. So the time being I am executing the program. So here I am trying to print an integer value with format specifier for float. So here I will get an output like this. Okay. Saget Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Suppose I want to declare a character data type. Which keyword I am going to use?
Char.
Char. Okay.
CHR.
CHR. Rishi Sagar.
Yes, sir.
Suppose I want to print the character at at A. That means at this one small a. So how will I use printf?
Percentage C,
Okay, very good. Percentage C,
comma A.
comma A. Okay, very good. So I'm adding a new line also. So A is printed. Okay. Ranveer's.
Yes, sir.
So you just look at line number 7 and make a guess of the output. What will be the output?
Sir, it is an integer type
Okay.
data.
Integer type data. So whether it is an error or so, what will be the output? Can you guess it?
Sir, 5.
How we got 5? Here I am printing A, not K.
Yes, sir.
Okay, leave it, no problem.
0, sir.
Okay, so what's the output I got? I got
0.
No, I got the output as
Oh.
65. Last one. Line number 7, output is 65. So is there any relation between A and 65? Anyone?
Sir, ASCII value.
ASCII value. When we studied character constant, I told you every character constant will have an equivalent ASCII value. That is written as 65. Ranveer,
Yes, sir.
clear now?
Yes, sir.
So you just watch it carefully. I'm making some modification. The value of k is now 5. I'm making it as 67. Rahul Bharadwaj,
Yes, sir.
can you predict the output of line number 8? Rahul Bharadwaj. Rahul Bharadwaj, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
no need to mute the mic. So after saying the answer only, you can mute the mic. So what will be the output of line number 8?
Sir, A.
A. How we got A? Nuja MB,
Yes, sir.
can you predict the output of 8? Line number 8. Nuja. Okay, no problem. Okay, I'm going to execute the program. So here I got it as C. So what is the value of K? K is 67 and I'm printing it as character. So actually we all know ASCII value for A is 65. So what will be ASCII value of B? ASCII value of B will be 66. So what will be the ASCII value of C? It will be 67. So here it is 67, that I am printing it in the form of character. That's why I got C here. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So ASCII value of A is 65, B will be 66, C will be 67, D will be 68, and it goes like that. So here K is 67. I'm trying to print K, but what is the format I am using? I'm using the format C. C means it will be printed in character form. So for ASCII value 67, the character form is capital C. So that capital C is printed. So it is already 11:15. Give me some 2 more minutes. So I want to discuss these things. Capital O and capital X. Munna Mishan.
Yes, sir.
So what will be octal number?
Sir, 8.
Okay, 8 symbols will be there. What are the
8 symbols.
those 8 symbols?
0 to
0 to
7.
7. Okay, very good, very good. Suppose I am writing a statement like this. So I am replacing the C by O. And I am printing the output. So here you got it as 103. So you got it as 103. So 103 is actually octal of 65. So 65 is an integer number. There is some procedure to convert integer number to octal number. I think that you will study in basic electronics or you will study in digital electronics in 3rd semester. So don't worry about that. So if we convert 65 to octal number, you will get 103, and that's the output I got here. So one more thing, printf. So this O, I am replacing it by X. So I am executing the program. So now I got it as 43. So this X represents hexadecimal number. Hexadecimal of 65. This conversion also you will study later. Okay. more thing, I am using another one variable also. I am using some x and giving it as 10. So here instead of k I am printing x, and you listen carefully, the type is or the format is hexadecimal. You just look at the output. So here I have to put a comma. So here I got the output as A, because in hexadecimal number already studied, we have 0 to 9 and also A to F. So if I giving integer 9, it is 9 in hexadecimal also. So if I give integer 10, the hexadecimal will be A. That's why I got A here. So one more thing. Suppose instead of this x in this format specifiers I have given small x, I am giving a capital X. You just look at the output. Here I got a capital A. Earlier I got small a. So I hope you understood percentage difference between percentage small x and percentage capital X. So I am one more thing. I will just 1 minute. I am declaring one more variable y, and I am giving it as 0, 1, 0. Saksham Sedu.
Yes, sir.
So what will be the output of line number 13? Please respond.
Yes, sir, I can't predict.
Okay. Shashikant Singh.
Yes, sir.
So what will be the output of line number 13? So I can't hear you.
I don't know, sir.
Okay, no problem. So here y equal to 0, 1, 0. So if 0 is preceding a decimal, what is the meaning? Anyone?
It is
It is
octal.
octal. Okay. So never compare it with decimal 10. So never think it as a decimal 10. It is actually a different value. If any 0 is written in front of the numbers, it is treated as hexadecimal. So here you never think this as 10, output of 13 as 10, because x equal to 10 and y equal to 0, 1, 0 is different. So here I got it as 8.
Sir, 0, 1, 0 is octal.
Yeah, 0, 1, 0 is octal. But I am printing it as integer. So this is octal. So output is octal of y. Octal of y means octal of 0, 1, 0. That is 8. So when we study the conversion, it will be clear. So these all things are for understanding purpose. So just understand, you can use this format specifier in this way also. Any doubt, please ask, otherwise we can wind up. Any doubts? So for example, if you want to print the octal number, what you have to do is, instead of %d, you have to use O. just use O. Here you got 1 0. Octal is 1 0 to to specify it as octal number only, we have added a 0 here. So when you print it, you will get only 1 0. It is not same as 10. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you can watch the videos also. You can ask me directly also. So if you get time, kindly go through the video again and make sure you understand scanf and printf properly. Scanf and printf properly. So before next class, you must have a thorough knowledge about how to use printf and also scanf. So that's the main outcome of today's session. How to use scanf and how to use printf. Okay, that's all I want to share today. Thank you. Okay, you can leave now.